Breakfast Confidential, an investigation into what life is like for the chickens at one of the biggest egg producers in the country, raising new questions about the most important meal of the day. ABC's David Wright puts one company in the hot seat for our series Nightline Investigates.
This is the image Hillandale Farms presents to the world. A promotional video showcasing the pristine conditions at its massive chicken coops in rural Pennsylvania, where they ship eggs around the country to retail giants like Costco.
Our hens are healthy and our eggs are at the peak of their quality.
This is hidden camera footage conducted by an undercover investigator from the Humane Society of the U.S. Their investigator worked as a day laborer at Hillandale for 3 weeks this spring.
You wouldn't see this kind of dust and dirt as if they were cleaning it every day.
Wayne Pacelli is a Humane Society spokesman.
And here they've bunched up, and now they're falling because this bird got stuck in the cage wire. Hey, the birds are mummified. That means that the birds have to have been in there for a while. Warning bells go off for me. They should be going off for the FDA.
We've been reporting all week here on that massive recall.
In 2010, a salmonella outbreak sickened more than 1,900 people. Federal food safety officials traced it back to several big egg farms. Congress held hearings on the outbreak.
So here's my question, and again, you're under oath, sir.
But Hillandale's then president refused to answer any questions.
I respectfully decline to answer the question based on the protection afforded me under the Fifth Amendment.
I mean, the image of the CEO of the company getting up in front of Congress and taking the Fifth doesn't exactly inspire confidence.
But we weren't running the operation at that time.
This is a new regime?
That's there now, absolutely.
Jeff Martin is a Hillandale manager. The company was considerably more forthcoming with us. After the Humane Society shared its footage with Nightline, we brought it straight to Hillandale, who agreed a week later to give us a tour.
Now, is this the same building that we see in that video?
Yes, sir.
But you've had a chance to clean it up a little bit.
A little bit.
Taking us inside some of their giant hen houses near Gettysburg. And as the manager of this facility,
Okay.
what did you think watching those videos?
I was disturbed because it doesn't represent what we are. I don't see what was in that video. And there were parts of the video that saddened me. There were parts of it that made me angry. So we launched a full-scale investigation as to what happened.
The hen house seemed to be cleaned up significantly. The feathers cleared off for the most part. The dust swept. No rodents on the floor, no piles of broken eggs, no swarms of flies. And the chickens, 120,000 of them in this one barn, clucking away.
Is there anything that you saw in that video that, if allowed to persist, could lead to another outbreak of salmonella?
Have a minute.
Just give him a sec. Is there anything you saw in that video that, if it were persistent, could lead to another outbreak of salmonella?
Yes.
What would that be?
A lot of things.
But Dr. Gregory Martin, a poultry educator brought here by Hillandale, disagrees.
As bad as it looked, it wasn't as bad as it wasn't a threat to the safety of those eggs.
They also face quarterly inspections from state agriculture officials, and Hillandale has passed those inspections, none of which is reflected on that video.
If I only saw that video and I wasn't in the business, it would concern me. But what I can assure you, the video isn't a true representation of our program. We have the safest food safety program in the industry.
Are you worried that one of your big customers, Costco for instance, could see something like this video and think twice about buying your eggs?
Yes, I am worried about their reaction to the video because Hillandale, we are very proud of our program.
David Atchison is an independent food safety consultant. He agrees the Humane Society video does not give a complete picture of conditions at Hillandale's facilities, but he says it's troubling.
Videos, by definition, are snapshots in time.
He points to those dead birds, the ones being pried off the cages.
When you see evidence that some of those carcasses from the dead birds have been there for what would appear many days, if not weeks, then that clearly raises concern.
They can kind of gussy things up and give a white glove tour, but in general, this sort of facility has fundamental problems, and we think that certainly a major company like Costco should not be associating with it.
You see, the Humane Society has another agenda. They want to pressure big retailers like Costco not to buy any eggs from farms that keep hens in cages, which they consider cruel.
Costco is the third biggest food seller in the United States. It told us 8 years ago that it was going to opt for cage-free production and only use suppliers that were going to produce those cage-free eggs.
Costco Wholesale says it is committed to the ethical treatment of animals and says that while Hillandale has identified some areas in which it believes it can improve, it believes that Hillandale is behaving appropriately. Folks at Hillandale took us to a second hen house, even bigger than the first. The equipment looks brand new. They say they're in the process of upgrading that first hen house to be more like this one, a chicken coop as long as a football field. 250,000 hens in this one building alone. And there are 5 of these barns on site. A chicken city. Population 1.5 million.
So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then another 5 all the way up there. This is the New York City high-rise for chickens.
Row upon row of hens laying eggs. This is their life for 18 months. The amount of space each hen has, smaller than a standard sheet of writing paper.
We don't tend to think a lot about where our food comes from, and yet it stands to reason that that's what it takes to produce the amount that we as a nation consume.
Years ago, there was concern about cholesterol. Now eggs are an energy food, so consumption per individual is up.
The argument there being that a facility like this is not just cruel to the hens, but also, if it's unsanitary, dangerous for humans too.
When a biological organism is severely stressed, they're more susceptible to the onset of disease. Plus, when they're overcrowded, you have more pathways for transmission.
It seems like we're talking about 2 different things here, though. One, you're interested in animal welfare. But 2, you're talking here about food safety. And it doesn't seem like there's necessarily a connection there.
When you mistreat animals and you stress them and you overcrowd them, you often produce food safety issues.
The proof, they say, is right there in that hidden camera footage. Hillandale Farms disputes that.
I see it as an attack because we would welcome, if somebody wanted to come and see our farm and see how we treated the birds, we would welcome working with them. So they don't have to come in undercover and shoot a video that isn't the normal thing.
So are you saying he was too busy filming and not doing his job?
If the goals are to produce a safe quality food in an animal-friendly environment, we're all for that. If the agenda is to get people to stop eating eggs, chicken, spare ribs, steak, it's a whole different animal.
Next time you cook breakfast, it is certainly food for thought. I'm David Wright for Nightline in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.